Hello, everyone who are on the online today. I see some names, names that I recognize, and there are some others who are also participating. My name is Khalid Usman. I'm the Ward 7 Council for the City of Markham. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today for this special open house for the Future Celebration Park. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce to you our great project team that has assembled this future park for you. First, we have Stephen Tippett, who is a project manager. Stephen, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining.
He is a project manager for parks and open space development for the city of Markham. Next is Oksana Negrosta. Oksana, say hello.
Hello, thank you for joining us.
And she's a project coordinator for Parks and Open Space Development, City of Markham. Next is Haley Patel. Haley, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
We're missing your photo. Anyway, she is the coordinator for Parks and Open Space Development for the city. But not least is Michael Thistle, who is a consultant from Baker Turner Inc. Landscape Architects. Michael, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Okay. I know that, parks are very, very important part of Ward 7, and especially because we've had our community waiting for some parks that were due long time ago, but I'm not going to go in there. But I know it's very difficult, and people have worked very, very hard, especially this team has worked hard to design this wonderful park that we hope to have completed by late 2023. Staff has prepared a detailed presentation for you, and I'm going to leave it to Stephen to guide you through the presentation. But I would like everybody to mute their microphones so that you can listen to this without any disturbance. At the end of the presentation, there'll be an opportunity for any attendees to ask questions. If you would like to know, or please hold them until the end. Alternatively, you can type them in the chat bar and send them to the staff, and they will answer them at the appropriate time. Just want to say two things, because I think in Ward 7, this celebration park has been named Celebration Park because we would like Ward 7 is probably the most diverse, ward in the whole city of Markham. Our diversity rate a few years ago when they gave us the statistics was over 94%. So you can imagine people from all over the world make Ward 7 as their home. And the interesting part is they love using the parks. So this park that we call Celebration Park has two, in my mind, has two benefits. And the way they're going to be, once you see the presentation, one is, of course, an international size cricket field, which will be lit by lights, which means that you can play during day and night sort of thing, or late evenings whenever it's decided by the staff of the timing. But the other part is the celebration park, where the community can gather, and they'll be having music and things, whatever they want to do. That's a gathering place. So without trying to explain the technical stuff, I wanted to just share that vision with the people. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Stephen. Please take control of the meeting and give us your perspective.
Thank you, Councillor. We are excited to be here. So good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us in this virtual open house as we share with you a few conceptual panels that we prepared for the future Celebration Park. As Councillor Usman has said, my name is Stephen Tippett, and I am the project manager here with the City of Markham. And I first want to thank you, Councillor, once again for your continued support to bring this park forward and ensuring.
Sorry, Stephen, I forgot to mention that my associate, Natasha Manesh, she's here too, and she participates in almost all meetings. So I want to thank her for being present today, even though you don't see her face, but her name is there. So
Yeah.
thank you, Tasha.
Yes, absolutely. She is also a big part of bringing this park forward. And I know residents have been waiting for this park for quite a long time now. And staff are here in front of you today to let you know that, we are planning to hire a contractor this year, with construction really getting going in the early spring, summer next year. Parks and Open Space staff who are with us tonight have been working alongside Baker Turner Architects, landscape architects, to develop a community level park plan that is both aesthetically pleasing and functionally sound. Staff understand the challenges when developing this conceptual plan, as the demand for park facilities within all neighborhoods is always so high. And in consultation with our integrated leisure master plan, internal stakeholders, and you guys residents at large, it's important that we continue these conversations so that we are truly delivering for the current and future needs of the residents. And while we cannot always place all facilities in every park, we certainly do try our best to determine the best facilities needed for people of all ages. So Councillor Uzun, he touched on sort of the structure of this open house. But before we get going, I'd first like to discuss the format. I will be sharing panels with you and describing the proposed location, conceptual layout, providing some contextual imagery for the park. And once those panels are done, then we will open up for questions. If anyone would like to ask a question, by all means, message the chat box, and you can do this throughout the presentation, because messages will be queued and the questions will be delivered by Oksana, and our team will try and answer as best we can. Any answers we cannot sort of provide at this point, we will certainly take back and get back a response. If I could ask, for those of you who, I believe everybody signed up through Your Voice Markham, if you could change your name to the name you signed up on, so that we can reference it for future responses, it would be helpful. All panels presented today, they will be posted tomorrow on for your review and further comment. And there will be a comment sheet provided on Your Voice Markham tomorrow as well. And this comment sheet is an automated survey, really. And once you've filled it out and you press submit, it actually goes directly to our landscape architect team, and we'll be reviewing all comments. And I would kindly ask that anyone who wishes to provide comments, whether it's tonight or via comment sheet, or simply email myself or Oksana, and Oksana will put our emails up on the chat board for you guys to have some access to. But I'd kindly ask that anyone who wishes to provide comments, please try and get them in by October 22nd. We would really like to move this park forward, and trying to stay on schedule is always a good thing to try to do. As mentioned, comments will be thoroughly reviewed and discussed with the internal team, and we will be providing a full final revised conceptual plan prior to going out to tender. So with that said, let's look at this first panel that we have up here. So Celebration Park, as most of you know, is located at the intersection of Karachi Drive and Kirkham Drive, just east of Markham Road. And I'm sure all you know where the Costco is, the landmark there. It's just southwest of that. There's also a large storm pond to the south of the Celebration Park, which will provide some really nice viewpoints from the design we've come up with for the park throughout all the summer months. The size of the park itself is 6.4 hectares, or approximately 16 acres. So it's quite a large size. And some of the programs that we are going to be providing, at least for this plan, include an irrigated lit cricket field, international size, large celebration lawn. The lawn itself is about 1.5 acres, a large outdoor shade pavilion. So we're going to have a really raised shade pavilion for some really cool activities and some events that could take place. We're going to be providing a washroom building with an outdoor a shade seating area. There's 2 parking lots. There's going to be cricket batting cages. There's going to be a junior and senior playground. And when I say junior and senior playground, it's really directed at the age groups. A junior age group is typically from a 2 to 5, and a senior is from a 5 to 12. There's going to be a large splash pad or water play facility within this park. A number of walking trails, a number of site furniture, benches. There's also going to be fitness equipment spread out throughout the whole trail system. And of course, a lot of associated landscape planting. So before we get to the next slide, Councillor Usman was touching on it. Our main inspiration behind the design really comes from the whole celebration within a park, a place where families can come on weekdays and weekends and have picnics and walk the trails, play in the playgrounds and splash pads, and take on a cricket match or even get out there and play. It's also a place, for celebration, where live music and events can take place throughout the season within the large open lawn and within the large outdoor shade pavilion. We also envision a whole market square here where vendors and food trucks and could be set up for the local community and to really support even the small businesses. Needless to say, we are excited to bring this forward to the community. So with that, let's jump into the design. Next slide, please. So as I was mentioning, number of facilities that are going to be in here, but let's start with the Karachi Drive entrance in the parking lot. So coming off Karachi Drive, there's going to be a large parking lot that's going to hold approximately 200 vehicles. There's also a roundabout, which is almost like a drop-off area, which is just south of, or I guess it would be at the northwest corner of this image in the parking lot. And that main spine there is going to lead to what we're really envisioning, kind of like a market style theme, or where a place where vendor trucks could set up for like a weekend event, or just a community gathering. There's also the Washroom Pavilion building, which is going to be there. So there's going to be a women's and men's washroom with an accessible family washroom stall as well. One thing to note within these is that there's also going to be a small change room component to it at the back of both the washroom, women's and men's washrooms. And then leading to the right of the washroom pavilion, which is that gray building, is the large purple area. That is going to be the junior and senior playground with a large swing bay. And one of the unique features that we're going to put in here, which we haven't done in any parks within Markham, is we're going to be installing the first wheelchair swing. So users are able to wheelchair and able to actually go right on a swing and get the sense of motion, which is something we're really excited about. The playground itself, the safety surfacing will be a rubber tile. Everything within this park is going to meet all AODA CSA standards, which is standard for our parks in the city. It's going to be a fantastic place. One of the other unique features to this is, we really looked at it from an accessible lens. And Oksana, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's 45 accessible components to this playground. So accessibility is it's a topic that we're always trying to hit on, and we're going to find that this is going to be a really unique playground. And then just to the top of that's where the water play is going to be, in that light blue colored circle there. That's going to be fully accessible as well. So there'll be a water tactile running water strips. There's going to be jets. There's going to be water nozzle guns. There's going to be large buckets. Really, really cool stuff. And we've got some images we're going to share with you a little later. And then jumping right north to that's the major celebration lawn we're talking about. And you can see the size of the pavilion that we're going to be installing here. We have some images for some context, but this is going to be a raised elevated platform. It's almost like a pergola, but it's a big shade structure, and it's going to be raised so that if live music's playing, it's just going to be such a cool backdrop. And the way the grades work is that you're almost going to be looking down into this amazing shade structure and overlooking the storm pond in the back with all the vegetation. Really good spot for that. And then so if we go back down to the parking lot, the larger parking lot, you see the gray pathway system that leads you out throughout the whole entire park. And one of the things that we really wanted to do with this community is, we know people access through the storm pond. Now, the storm pond itself has maintenance roads, and it's not set up as a formal trail, but we know people access that. And there was one real location where we could put that trail, and you'll see the yellow orange around the top of this park. That's a really steep slope, and it's hard to get access into that sort of storm pond to allow for that access, so that the public to the south of this park, this plan is actually oriented south to north, but the real idea was that people who wanted to walk through the storm pond could actually access the park from it. There's also going to be access from that community as well off of Kirkham Drive along Kirkham Drive. You see a number of access points over there. And then I had mentioned the actual fitness equipment. So there's a number of nodes, the TAN nodes throughout the park and throughout the trail system, which we're going to be incorporating. And these fitness stations are standalone stations. There's no motion to any of these. But one of the unique features is that there will be actual signs installed to teach you and how to use this fitness equipment. You know, target what muscles you're using and how to use it. So it's kind of a one-off. If you're walking the trails, you can also stop and do some exercising at some of these fitness locations. And then, of course, looping behind the shade structure and going up to the left, you'll see our large cricket field. This is a large cricket field that we've looked at with an ICC standard. It's going to be about 150 meters at the lengths. We're going to have this lit, so this is going to have sports field lighting on it as well. We're also going to have a perimeter containment fence for balls. One of the challenges we had with this was obviously where do you locate it, right? And as you can see, we're stretched with where's the best location for this. So from the risk and safety perspective, most of you who are in this area know Jarl Cedarwood and the safety meshing that goes up there. We are going to be putting that nylon mesh around the perimeter of this. And that has a lot to do with, the safety, proximity to the roads. We really tried to offset stuff like the water play as far away as we could. These offsets are even more than what we see at Jarl Cedarwood. So we took that into respect. But the roads are close, and we want to try and provide as much safety as we can for this. This field is also going to be irrigated, and this is a permitting field. So this allows for extended use of a field throughout the evening hours. Now, this doesn't mean that the lights are going to be on all night. They still have to meet our bylaws, and the lights will be shut off at 11 o'clock. Typically in Markham, we do not light our parks, but because of a permitted facility, we always light pathways to and from the parking lot so that people are able to get out safely in a contained light environment, and so that they're able to leave the park. Those lights will stay on for approximately a half hour, 45 minutes, and then those will go off as well. And then so leading us towards the further west of this huge cricket pitch, which we're super excited about, is going to be a parking lot, smaller parking lot, and batting cages, cricket batting cages. And this is going to be a fully contained batting cage. And through our recreation team, we're also working with a lot of the local cricket user groups to make sure that all our dimensions are sufficient and accurate, so that so the runouts we've got enough room for runouts and all that kind of important details. And the detailed development will obviously come much later after this is presented. So in a whole, we're really excited about this. This is a place of where we're looking for celebration. This is a place where community can come together. We're doing really one-offs, which we've never done in Markham. We've never done a lit cricket pitch before. Accessible swings that are fully accessible. So we're really excited about this. And so with that, let's jump into some of the perspectives and details of what we're going to be providing.
Even before you go further,
sure,
I have a couple of comments on cricket field itself, and as well as the location that you have pointed out rightly. One of the best part of this land, this specific land, is that is far away from all residential areas. I mean, it's either residences on the west side of Markham Road, or it's south side of Karachi, the two apartment buildings, and there is nothing on the east side or the north side. So I think location-wise, I think it's fantastic. I think you also have to understand, when I started to say that 94% is visible minority, or let's say minority, I shouldn't say visible. But one of the things is that most of the cricket players are living in that area. Most of them, because they come from either West Indies, or they come from India, they come from Pakistan, they come from Afghanistan, all of those, or islands, they're all cricket players and fans. So I think for them, you will see that just like when we built the Elson Place, that field, it was taken over very fast. It was full. and there was a shortfall. So I think the service we're going to provide to the community here is going to be fantastic. But it's going to be not only cricket being played here, but other things being happening at the same time. Families enjoying the water things, the community enjoying the music thing. So I think this is fantastic. Now, also the one comment that I wanted to make about the lights is that again, lights will be there according to bylaw, whatever the timings are. But really, it will not be disturbing anybody because this area is so I shouldn't say isolated, but so self-contained that I don't think the lights are going to bother anybody from Markham Road or that side. So with those comments, I leave the meeting back to you.
Thank you. And just to point on the lights again, as part of the lighting, we do lighting studies to make sure that there's not a lot of cascading light outside of the field. And this will all be undertaken and made sure that the light levels are not exceeding the field length. So this is really a system that we're going to put in, which our landscape architect is providing for us, is a system that's hopefully going to be, well, it's not hopefully, it's going to be fully contained. And so the whole, if you're up in the condo and you're looking down and it's going to be bright, that's not going to be the case. These lights are going to be directed down and the intent is to keep it on the field. But great point, Councillor. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this page here just gives you an idea of some of the components that I was mentioning earlier. You can see that the containment chain link fence that's going to go around the perimeter. It's going to be a chain link fence it's a weeping sisto safety sort of topper to it that you see along a lot of baseball diamonds. And then on top of that, we're going to have that safety netting. Again, picture Jarl cedarwood, and we can go to the next slide after this, and we have some really good shots. This meshing itself is very see-through. It's very transparent, as you can see. I think it melts well with the surrounding. I think the natural wood. It's just a component that we feel is important for this location. And then we will have an artificial turf cricket, the wicket, the pitch itself. That's something that we're going to continue to work with the user groups to make sure the standards are all defined and they meet specs. There will be players' benches. We're just an example there. And throughout the cricket field itself, Oksana or Haley, I don't know if you could point to. We have 4 locations where we're going to be putting the accessible bleachers. And each accessible bleacher, which is what you see there, that's one of them. There's about 8 of them, and it sits about 20 to 25 peoples. So when we look at that, it's really something for about 150 to 200 people, which is something that could be really exciting. And then obviously the sight screens that we'll have in the background at either ends of the wickets. And then there's just a picture of the batting cages over at Jarl cedarwood. We are hoping, wanting to close these. We're going to continue to speak with our recreation team and the user groups to ensure that we're hitting the mark on those as well. Next page. This is again some more of the imagery. You can see just standing there on the wickets. It is the mesh itself is very transparent, and that's one of the things that really led us to this. We don't want to put up these big walls that are certainly noticeable, very noticeable from the eye. And there's just a couple rendering perspectives that the teams put together just to give you a sense of some of the scale. Next slide, please. So this is a pretty neat page itself. This is a perspective of what the park's going to look like. The top one on the left, you can see that's a shot from an aerial view from the parking lot. You can easily tell right where that one food truck is by the parking lot. That's the Washroom building and the outdoor shade structure pavilion. That's where that's going to be located. You can see that the images of food trucks. It's really like this market style alleyway of really celebration. It's a place where we can have vendors come in. You can have small business come in. It just could be like a whole market feel. We're trying to program this from our vision, right, and what we're hearing, and what the ILMP is guiding us towards. So we thought this would be a really unique opportunity to bring something like that here. That gray circle area, that's where the water play is going to be, and we have a perspective of that in a couple more slides, which has got some really unique features to that as well. And then of course you've got the really grand shade pavilion where you could put a lot of things could happen. we could have live music, but also families could go there and picnic. There's going to be opportunities throughout the day where there's picnic tables there, and you can go and picnic. You can do a couple laps around the park. You could come and take a rest there. There's going to be multiple benches throughout this whole park's trail system. So, taking a break every 100 meters is something that's, it's going to be available. And the open lawn itself. So the open lawn itself is 1.5 acres. So it is quite large. And we're hoping that, it can be programmed with all our lovely local residents. And then we see the playground down south below that there's actually a really unique feature here that I've installed once before. And it's that it's almost like a boat swing. If someone could point to that right there. So that's a wheelchair. So wheelchairs it's an accessible unit where a wheelchair can actually go in, and it swings like a boat, something you'd see at like a Canada's Wonderland. It's not that high, but it gives you the sense of motion from a playground as well. Next slide, please. This is just some of our materials page. So this just gives you an idea of some of the plantings we're going to be looking at. The sergeant's cherry, some of the locust, the feathery grass, the types of maple that we're really looking to add some splash of colors throughout this in all seasons, right? We try and program this for all seasons use, and we go off obviously our standard plant lists through this for the city. And then the next slide gives you a perspective of some of the site furniture we're going to be putting in. Those are the back benches, as well as the cluster seating. There's going to be a lot of cluster seating underneath the pavilion area and scattered through it. That's actually a games table on top. So you bring your own chess or checkers and you can have a game, while watching the kids at the splash pad or the playground. And we also have examples of our trash receptacles, our standard trash receptacles that'll be scattered throughout the park. Next is the hard paving. We're going to be having a lot of concrete paving here, and to mix it up a bit with it for a design touch, we're going to be hitting it with some sandblasted to give it a different textural feel. It's not that sandblast is going to be rough. It just really gives it a different perspective look. And then, of course, asphalt pathways and asphalt parking lot. This whole park will be sodded. That orange stretch that I showed you on the slope earlier, that's all going to be naturalized seeded. I believe it's a naturalized flowering wildflower mix, Mike, but maybe Mike can get into that in a bit. Some of the fitness equipment I was telling you about, standalone equipment, which is really unique stuff. It gives you ways of how to use it, what body parts you're actually working, and gives you an opportunity to change it up other than to just walk. And it does allow for different age groups, and it tells you, not everybody can get down on the bench, but if you're older or if you're younger, the younger generation might just jump right up and do jumps, or the older generation might just try and sit up and down. So there's a lot of there's a variety of descriptions on how you can use the equipment. And then to the playground itself. So the whole playground, as I had mentioned, will be rubber tile surface. It's part of a safety feature that, we have to make sure we're adhering to. So the rubber tile will be throughout the entire playground and the swing pit. And then just an artificial turf. That's what we're going to be using for the wicket and the cricket pitch. The whole field itself will be sodded, but the wicket will be artificial turf. Next slide. So this gives you a good perspective on the playground. A lot of unique features here. You can see that sort of that boat swing I was pointing at for the junior section. If Oksana or Haley can point it, yeah. We're also going to have accessible ramping throughout the playgrounds, junior and senior, just to add towards that accessible component. There's this really unique jellyfish feature. Oksana, do you want to talk about the jellyfish feature? I think it's a one of a kind for this park, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's a unique element that's not currently installed anywhere else in Markham, and it is highly accessible and it's very inclusive because it has multiple elements that are not only accessible, they allow for children of all abilities to do all sorts of things. There are multiple panels, there are monkey bars that can be reached from floor to the ground. The spiral stair in the middle, it has markings for visually impaired children, so that's a unique feature as well. And just overall, I believe that one structure, it features around 29 accessible elements. So it was designed and it was built to meet abilities of all children.
Which is fantastic. And then, of course, the wheelchair swing just to the top of that, which is going to be a really unique feature for this park. And again, all these panels, I know this is a lot. I know this is a lot because it's really exciting. I always show my kids these playgrounds, and they're, oh, what, can we go tomorrow? Can we go tomorrow? But there is a lot, and we will be posting these, like I said, online tomorrow, so that you can really have a look. These playgrounds themselves are not set in stone. So if you see things that you typically like to use at parks, your kids like more of, there's more climbing versus more slides. I think we've tried to do a pretty good job here of combining both of them, but by all means, we're looking for feedback. Next slide. So this is our the water play feature itself. A lot of unique features to this. There's going to be sprayers, the bubblers, jets from the ground. There's going to be the water cannons that kids can maneuver around. Large dumping buckets. You can see that large dumping bucket on the bottom. That's a huge dumping bucket, which is kids love. A lot of the leaf sprayers that are going to be there as well. One of the things we're going to really try and work on, this one is getting a really unique feature in here. So that's still in progress, but this gives you a sense of how big it's going to be. One of the things with the splash pads, as most of you know, they're programmed so that they go on, like different components go on at different times. Not all will be on at once, and that really gives a unique theming to how we're going to be programming this water play, how we set it up. So a lot of unique features. Going back again to the accessible features, there's actually that accessible trough there. It's very tactile with the water, the splashing. Yeah, so we're excited to bring this forward as well.
Stephen?
Yep.
Before you go, I got a message from Mr. Marimutu,
Yep.
who is on the Zoom, but he's having trouble listening. Can you just check as to what's, he's not able to listen to you. Mr. Marimutu, can you hear us? Just give your thumbs up or.
Can we see him?
He is the one
Yep.
right underneath Oksana.
Can you hear me, sir?
Hello, Mr. Marimutu, can you hear us?
Maybe if he wants to leave and I can admit him again to the meeting, that might help.
So could you explain that to him?
Yes.
Or maybe I'll just email it to him. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, you go ahead. I'll send him a message.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry that the volume's not working.
No problem.
So again, the splash pad itself, a lot of unique features. We're excited to bring this forward. And again, I would encourage you to really dive into the design, and by all means, we're looking for comments. All the good ones, all the ones that you'd like to sort of change, and what you'd like to do differently. We're open to all of that. And then the next slide, which I think is our last one. So this one really gives you a perspective of the washroom building, the washroom pavilion, and it's a general perspective of the large open pavilion that we're going to be providing. Now you have to imagine that this is going to be raised. So this is going to be on almost like a raised concrete pad. So it's going to be elevated. We're going to have a couple stairs going up to it. We're going to have accessible ramps leading into it. So it really will be standing higher than grade and really be prominent. One of the reasons why we wanted to go with this design is because it really matches the washroom pavilion. A lot of the peaking, a lot of the straight lines, and we're gonna do our best in really matching them together to bring all the components together within the park. The washroom pavilion itself, it has a large sort of pavilion, open air seating area. So you will be able to sit there and look out, and the water play area will be directly to the north or directly to the south. And then the playground will be directly to the east by looking straight out of that. We positioned it in a way where it really encloses and catches your eye around the whole park, which is something that, it's important to do, right? To feel like you're in a big space. So some of the other features, you can see the layout plan of the washroom pavilion. There's going to be 5 stalls plus a change nook, a change stall as well. All the accessible components, and then the back of that is actually a service room. But there's also going to be the accessible washroom or the family room right there. And that really is it in our design. Maybe go back to the perspectives. I think it gives people an overview of, yeah, maybe that one gives people an overview of just how we're really bringing this in, and we really want to make this a place of, celebration. But when I say celebration, I don't always mean like monster concerts. I also mean like the family get-togethers. Like it's just so important to, people these days, they like to get out. They like to just go and picnic and find a nook that's, it's not so busy. There are spots throughout this place where we will be putting benches that aren't immediately along the main paths, and really just allowing families to enjoy time, throw the frisbee, throw a ball. I guess one of the points about the cricket pitch itself, it will be a permitted facility, but I mean, the doors will be open. When there's not a permitted facility going on, you're still able to go on it and throw a baseball or a frisbee, or, it's certainly a public facility. So we're super excited to bring this forward. As I mentioned, the goal is to have this completed by the end of, or Councillor Usman also echoed, the goal is to get this completed by 2023, so that this is fully operational by 2024, and give back to the public. So at this time, Oksana, I don't know if we had any questions queued, but I'd like to, open it up to the floor. And if you want to write a message in the chat box, please do, or if you want to speak, by all means. But all input's good input from our lens, so please.
There are no questions so far.
Sorry,
Before we
Council?
open up the questions, I think one of the things I would like to do is that in the next couple of weeks, send out some of this information to the constituents, those who were not able to attend today. Because one of the things that I've experienced, you may call them, you call the meeting, you send notices, and then all of a sudden they say, oh, we were not aware of it, you didn't make us aware. They're never satisfied. Doesn't matter how many meetings you call. So what I would like to do is, before you finalize all this, I think I would like to get the opportunity to send the information to the constituents that are close by, and see if they give any other input for your purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'd mentioned, prior to us finalizing this, we will be providing a final sort of layout plan for this park.
Because I already see, for example, from the other day, you have made the change of this pavilion, which is good. And you said it's raised one. As long as it's raised one, I'm okay. Because raised one means people in the front may be able to see who's on the stage, which is great. So I personally like this, seeing it for the second time now. And the more I look at it, the more I like it. I think it's fantastic because it is geared towards community. It's geared towards all ages. It's geared towards all members of society, whether you come from Sri Lanka or you come from India or you come from any other part. You all have something to contribute. You have all something to enjoy. I think it's fabulous. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let others express themselves.
Thank you, Councillor. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, we were actually talking earlier, the importance of providing just these perspectives, and it really gives you a bird's eye look of what we're going to be building. So yeah, we're excited. This is certainly one of our larger parks that we are, privileged enough to be able to be a part of, and these large ones are great. Is that Namisha? Yeah, it looks wonderful. I don't live close, but I didn't read that. Oksana, maybe?
It's not in the comment chat.
Well, maybe I got it direct. But anyways, we did have a comment saying that great on the AODA components. But thank you, Namisha. Appreciate that. And thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I know you don't live in the immediate area, and that's great. Do you want to maybe go to the layout plan so people can see and maybe see sort of from the sky? So we were mentioning the and maybe Mike, maybe you want to jump in here and maybe say a couple of things about the length of the trail itself. Around the cricket pitch is what, 500 meters?
Yeah, that's right. It's 500 meters all the way around, start to finish. So one of the things we are proposing to do is put markers along that walkway, so the people who are, that take an interest in walking and walking certain distances can track their distances as they walk around. And then one thing I just wanted to add to that person's comment about AODA, you touched on all the play and the water play being accessible. All the pathways will be AODA compliant as well. We'll be able to get around this entire park in an accessible manner.
I think some people are sending the messages. Maybe you can answer. Now,
Oh, it's not a question, it's just a comment. Shahida told that I'm looking forward to it as I'm one of the residents of the condo on the new Delhi Drive. It looks amazing. Thank you.
okay, great. Anyways, I think these are positive comments that I've seen, the two of them. That's what we need. Now tell me, what is this golden color? It's not a path, but whatever it is, what is that all around?
So as part of, as Mike was saying, this whole site is relatively flat. So it's all AODA compliant, meaning that pathways are no greater than 5%. Correct, Mike? Maybe head nod. Yeah. And so as part of this site being so large and having all that flat land, we do have a storm pond to the south of this. So all that is really heavily sloped land that we're not going to be sodding, and it's actually just going to be a wildflower seed mix. So there's going to be all natural wildflowers along the banks. It's essentially
like the Beaupre Park that we have on Denison.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a question from Rizwan. What's the proposed completion date? Is it summer 2023? And also, will parts of the park be open as they are available?
So great questions. Thank you for that. We are aiming for end of 2023. Unfortunately, with things like COVID that have come into place, sometimes, we just can't meet those marks, but we have found that, the markets in our industry has picked up again a bit. And we are aiming for the end of 2023. So that would mean the beginning of 2024, it would be fully opened. And the second part of that question, can you say the second part again, Oksana?
Will parts of the park be open as they are available?
So just to give you an idea, a park of this size, it does take about a year to a year and a half to complete. And because when a contractor takes on these projects, what they do is they phase the work. So they do all the grading, and then they'll do all the servicing. So they'll put all the servicing in, and then they'll start all the foundations. So it's not that they'll start at one side and then just finish in the end. So all this will be open at once. This will not be a phase plan.
But Stephen, I think based on my past experience of many parks and openings and delays, I think it will be important if you can give us a timeline that in 2021, this will happen, in 2022, this will happen, and 2023, this will happen, whatever it is, because that way at least there is no, people may not misunderstand what completion of 2023 means. So maybe you can give us a timeline.
So again, I mean, what we're doing for this park, because these parks are so large, is what we do is we go out to, we do a pre-qualified contractors list, which means we send these out to qualified contractors who are able to take on large projects like this. And every contractor's schedule is different, but the end goal is 2023. There will be no construction fencing. The water might not be on because it'll be the end of the year, but this will be open for use, which means people will be able to walk the trails. People will be able to use the playgrounds. People will be able to use all the fitness equipment. The parking lots will be open. By the end of 2023, our goal is to take the fence down and this will be open. Now, what day that is or what month that is, I don't know for sure. But what we're trying to do this year, and we just got a pre-qualified list back that we're doing evaluations on for contractors, is we want to hire a contractor. What people don't understand is that there's a lot of the front end planning that has to take place for a park of this size to come to fruition. The large pavilion in the back, that could take up to 6 months, 7 months just to manufacture. And so there's a lot of timing sequencing that has to take place here. So by the end of and I don't want to be quoted on this, Councillor, but by the end of 2022, you should be able to start seeing a lot of foundations going in. You should be able to see some of the pathways starting to really be aligned. And again, if we have good weather, there's also things, if we have bad weather, that puts certain delays on things. I mean, COVID certainly put a delay on things. Manufacturing of materials, as some of you may know, the price of wood skyrocketed, and it was hard to even get wood to build stuff like the roof structure of the washroom building. So there's a number of factors, but our end goal again is in 2023 that this park, the construction fencing will be down and it will be usable for the public. That's our goal. That's our main goal. I hope that helps.
Ali is wondering if the cricket pitch is convertible into a quote-unquote square for large gatherings.
Well, I guess the hard part again is trying to make a square out of that circle. It's if you're to make a square out of it, you're kind of making the circle smaller, and if you're to making the square larger than the circle, it's not possible because of the roads, right? I mean, this field itself is maximized to as much as we really can do, and that has a lot to do not just the closeness, proximity to the road, but the grading work, the actual way the land is graded. That slope, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's a heavily sloped area north of the umpire's bench, or just above the umpire's bench on this plan. Like it's very hard to maneuver a facility of this size.
Correct. It is incredibly steep. It's 3-to-1, 4-to-1. It's won't be maintained. It'll be seeded. Right. The rest of it was kind of created to be more like a table with a gentle slope down to the south.
Steve, I guess the question was more about using the cricket field as a gathering place for larger gatherings. Would that be allowed?
Well, I mean, it's all going to come down really to what would be permitted through our city, right? I mean, we have a permitting department that would certainly, if you're going to use a facility and have a great amount of people here, you have to get a permit for this stuff. One of the things we looked at was, the amount of people who would be using, say, the cricket pitch. How many vehicles would that entail? If we had a little gathering or smaller events, we have a parking at the other side. So the parking stalls, again, Oksana might correct me if I'm wrong, but the available parking stalls that we're envisioning here are about 270. Is that right? 270? And then
yes, there's 227 parking stalls on site. North floor is 47, and the south floor is 180. And there's also additional 189 parkings available off-site as a lay-by parking spots along Kirkham and Carriageway.
Even I think the question that Mr. Ali is asking is very, very different than what you just thought. What he's saying is the area where we are having the celebration area, just like in Nathan Phillips Square downtown, it's called a square, meaning a lot of activities and things. That's the kind of concept I think he's saying, okay, can we have this as a square, not square in
square. Okay, no, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, this is a large gathering place. I think events like that could take place. The size of those, I think that all depends on permitting and what's doable. But we're certainly set up this park. The vision for this park was celebration. So you start thinking about Nathan Phillips Fair's get-togethers. I don't know if this is the park for Canada Day or anything like that, but smaller events where you can play live music. This is certainly a place for that.
No, I don't think we envision Canada Day here. Canada Day will always be where it has been celebrated because it's got a huge place. But what I think, I don't want people getting this misconception. The cricket field cannot be used as a gathering place. Right. Because it has its own, these are very expensive pitches and all. But what can happen is the gathering place is where the pavilion is. And if you're saying there are 250 parking spaces, well, there are a lot of people that are going to walk there. Because remember, The two buildings that are on New Delhi Drive, there are like a lot of buildings on Markham Road itself that they just walk to that area, right? So
Yeah.
they'll be the ones coming here and celebrating and sitting down. So I can foresee maybe you'll have 5 to maybe 700 people there in that square, just the celebration, the entertainment part. But cricket field and other things are separate.
Yeah, there certainly is a premium that we're trying to make this field, and again, it's going to be permitted quite often in talking with our recreation group. So yeah, great questions though. Thank you.
I have another question from Krishna. What's the percentage of the green area with trees in this park? Is it more like a stadium or is it a park?
What's the percentage of trees? You want to answer that one, Mike?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question, the percentage of trees.
Well, I guess the question is like, what is it? Is it a stadium or the park? And I can answer it. I believe it's kind of both because it clearly consists of two different areas. One is the sports area, which can be treated as a stadium, consisting of the cricket field and the batting cages with the kind of just a parking lot in between. But there's also an active recreation area with the play pits and the water play and the gathering area and the shade structure. So kind of you have both. You have trees, you have a park setting, and you have a stadium setting. In terms of tree counts, I did math earlier, and there's 505 trees in the park. Well,
Yeah.
as planned.
Oksana, let me put my 2 cents worth in there because I don't want people getting the wrong impression. This is not a stadium. Stadium is supposed to be something that happens within an enclosed boundary. What this is, it is a cricket field because our leisure plan has identified that we need a lot of other cricket fields because of the population of that area who are enjoying cricket as a sport. So this will be a cricket field, not anything else, but there are practices and others that you have just talked about that are around it. But it's not a stadium as such, because stadium would mean that would have enclosures, would means would have changing places, for the cricketers, etc. We are not having that, at least at this time. This one in this phase, it will be a pure stadium, but the difference is a pure cricket field, playground, but it will be lit, which means that right now some places we can use our cricket grounds for maybe 2 shifts, but with this light coming on, we could use it for 3 shifts. So which means more people can be accommodated, more players can be accommodated, more teams can come and play. So that's the idea of having a lit, and even if there are some international competitions that one day would like to see international teams coming, they will be able to, because that's a minimum requirement that it should be lit fields. So I'm quite excited about what you're saying. I think it's fantastic. Once we start to see it, it'll make a difference.
Well, there's a comment from Rizwan. I'm not sure what the type of grass that international cricket fields use, but is there an option to replicate the same type, or will that impact the agricultural guidelines? And second question, can the players' bench be shaded? And the last question, we mentioned we will have some time to send our comments and suggestions on the proposed plans. Will this be posted on the Markham website? So the first question is what type of grass will be used?
Mike, do you want to answer that?
Sure. This will be a bluegrass field, and to my knowledge, all fields in the GTA are bluegrass. It's what does well in our climate, and it will do well here too.
And then it's a pretty good question about the players' benches, and something we could take back to the team. But I mean, I guess we have to look at also, Mike, where we're positioning these benches, right? So the sun's actually going to be coming behind them. So something of a cascading players shelter or something like that might be a unique opportunity here.
Yeah, we've certainly got flexibility to have these benches, move around move around, they were put on that side as they were kind of furthest away from the sidewalk to kind of give players some separation from just the cars and whatnot going by on Karachi there. And it's something we certainly discussed. Oksana and I, we've discussed providing shade for those benches as well as potentially the bleachers. It's something we're looking into.
I think that's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
Because I think we overlooked it, that we must have shade on the people that are sitting there on the benches. So I think thank you, whoever made, I don't see his name, but I think it's a great input that he's given, that we do need some shades on those benches.
Yes, well, we are looking into that. Yes, we'll find the
Because it'll be
opportunity.
difficult for somebody to move when they're playing. So I think if we have some shades, there are lots of different types of shades available that can be put up, like the big umbrellas and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shade sails, yeah.
Please take a look at that.
And the final question was whether or not the plans will be posted on the Markham website. Yes, these panels and the survey will be posted at your Voice Markham /Parks website, where you will be able to, to listen to this presentation one more time, to take a look at the panels and to respond and submit your
And
comments.
the other thing is, Oksana, they can send it to their counselors'
course.
email and to my office, and we'll pass it on to you. So I just want to make sure that they have access to whatever access they have. I think input is going to be very important.
And maybe, Oksana, maybe let's type that in the chat. I know this is being recorded, this presentation, which is also going to be posted so people can watch it again, but maybe type it in the chat so that.
Tasha, maybe you can also type in our email in there.
Any more questions? I mean, by all means, there's a lot. There's a lot here. This is a big park, and there's, we hope we provided you with a look at what we're thinking. And by all means, take your time and have a look at these panels in a bit more detail if you wish. And again, if we could get the comments back by the 22nd, we really want to start turning this into a detailed design package, which
22nd of what?
October.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. So first of all, I want to thank you and staff, because I think you've done a fabulous job. And this is the kind of public meeting that I like, at getting the input. We have already done 2. And as I said, we are going to take input through our emails, input on the website, and then we're going to share it with you. And we are really looking forward to this. I think the residents are very excited. So are the adjoining, because this is going to be a city asset. So, but I think it's fantastic. And I want to thank you for bringing up this beautiful facility for the city of Markham, especially for our Ward 7.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to getting onto it.
Yeah.
All right. So if there's no other question, I'm going to say goodbye, and then we'll be in touch.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Good night.